royal icing. Now our recipe that you're going to be receiving that's going to be attached to this class, there's going to be 2 royal icing recipes, and I'm going to do the second one. The first one is done with meringue powder. The Wilton meringue powder can be purchased at Michael's or Walmart. If you do purchase the meringue powder, get it from Michael's because they have a 40 to 50% off coupon. Okay, but we're going to use pasteurized egg whites, and that's very important that if you have your own chickens, that you shouldn't do this because your eggs should be pasteurized. You don't want, because this is not going to be cooked. This icing is not cooked icing. It's a type of icing that once the air hits it, it's going to harden. Different from your buttercream like what you would get in a bakery that stays nice and soft all the time. First thing we're going to do is we're going to weigh out a pound of powdered sugar. This is a 2-pound bag, so I'm not making a double recipe this time. I'm just making a single. So I'm going to measure out, I'm going to weigh out 1 pound. Okay, there we go. 1 pound. All right. So what we're going to do is we're just going to turn this on just for a moment to stir up all those clumps. All right, so what we're going to do next is we're going to pour in 3 egg whites, which is approximately 3 ounces, and a teaspoon of rum vanilla. Now, I'm going to explain about this rum vanilla in a minute, but I don't want to shake this up. I want to keep all the sediment from the vanilla pods on the bottom. Because, I mean, it's okay to have speckles in the icing, but you'll see it might look like your snowman has freckles. And there's nothing wrong with freckles. Okay, so we want to pat this down. Scrape our bowl down. We're going to probably scrape it down one more time. Let it get mixed up. And as you can see, it looks kind of like an off-white. When it's done, it's going to look like Snow White. And you might be saying to yourself, well, she put in this vanilla that's this dark. No, it's going to be a Snow White. That's not going to, we didn't put in that much of the vanilla to make a difference. Okay, so we're going to put that on high, medium high, and then this is wet, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover this because when the air hits this icing, it's going to dry it out, and we don't want it to dry out. So we're just going to let this go for about 5 minutes, and then we're going to come back and check it. Rum vanilla. I like to make my own rum vanilla, or my own vanilla out of rum. And I've used so many different types of rum. I have this bottle right now because I purchased this bottle at Walmart for $5. So I thought, well, black spice rum, that should make some really good vanilla. And I'm not sure if you get, the light just shines through it just right. There's probably 5 vanilla pods in here right now. And what I do is I take a pod and I slice it down the center, and then I cut them in half, and then I scrape 2 of them off. I put the pods in with the stuff I scraped. That is some of the vanilla pod that got caught up at the top when it was shaken or in transport in the car. And when you're making like anything else besides white icing where you don't want like speckles in it, you would shake it up before you use it. You can kind of see a little of the pods at the bottom, and over time as you shake it, the pods that you didn't scrape, some of that will come off of those pods and flavor your rum. Probably after 2 weeks this is good to use. And you know, you can keep, see here's some of the pod right here. that had gotten up, some of the vanilla bean that had gotten up on the side when I had shaken it. And when it gets to be about halfway, just add more rum to it. Could be any kind of rum. If you start out with white rum, it's still going to turn this color. So it doesn't matter if you get a dark spiced rum or a dark rum or a white rum, it's going to end up this color. In about 2 weeks you can use it. When it gets to be about halfway, you let it sit a day or two, or fill it back up with any kind of rum. Let it sit a day or two, and then you can use it again. You want to always make sure that your pods are covered. You don't ever want your rum to get low enough that they're not covered, because then that's when you're going to get a mold or something that's going to be in there. The alcohol is going to keep everything under control, but if it's above the alcohol, then that's when you're going to start something that you might not want in your vanilla. But yeah, this has been a good Jerry spiced rum. I use that a lot, and I use Costco rum too. All right, let's check this icing. Okay, there we go. Look how nice and white it is. Now you can see that when it plops on there, it just kind of lays on the top. This is too thick for our cookies, so we're going to thin it down just a little bit, because we want it to be within 5 seconds. We want it to absorb in, so you don't see any ribbons or anything on top of the cookie for the icing. So we're going to add a little water to this, because when it ribbons, we want it to just kind of melt into each other. So, but what we're going to do is we're just going to add like a half a teaspoon, teaspoon at a time. That was probably about a half a teaspoon. Okay, let's give it time to mix. Yeah, it's kind of like, it's kind of flattening more, but we want it to go just a little bit more. Yeah, that's what we're looking for. Now, we want it a little stiffer for our scarf and our nose on our cookies and the green balls. So this is what we're going to use. We're going to color some of this icing. We're going to put it in a bag, and then we're going to thin it down a little bit more. We want this icing just a little thinner when we fill in the top of the cookie with the icing. So I'm going to cover this up. I'm going to get my colors in my bags together. All right, let's talk about decorating bags for a minute. I'm using I believe it's a 12-inch plastic decorating bag. You can use parchment bags for this if you want, or featherweight bags. It's whatever your choice is, but this is really easy cleanup. We don't need a coupler for this, because the reason you use a coupler in a bag, and that the big part just goes in, and then your tip, you would cut this, of course, but I'm not going to cut it yet. Your tip would go over, and then you would just screw it on. That's what a coupler is for. But since we're not going to change this tip, let's say we have some green icing, and we want the same green icing for a leaf and for writing on top of a cake. So those are two different types of tips. So instead of dirtying or using 2 bags of icing for one color green, you just use a coupler, you change your tip, and then you can call it a day. It's really easy, but we're not doing that because they're all different colors. All right, let's check this icing. Stir it up for a second. That's just what we're looking for. Okay. Good. All right, this helps you. This gives you a third hand. We're going to put our bag in here, and that's going to hold our bag up. Then we're going to take a little bit of this icing. Now, some of you that took the Christmas candy, or sorry, the Christmas cookie class last year, we were having problems getting a good red. For some reason, and I used the same, everything, I thought, but I figured it out. I told you I would figure it out. As you see when I color this, I'm excited for you guys to see this. No matter how much red I put in on those Christmas cookies last year, it was pink. It was just pink. There we go. I'm not going to touch this toothpick to here yet, just in case I want to, well, I am. There we go. Let's just, okay, we always want to cover this up because they do spill. There we go. Look at this. This is amazing. So the difference, the reason we didn't get the deep red the last time was because I used the meringue powder for class instead of the egg whites. And when I did the first time that I made these cookies, I shipped them in the mail. I mailed them. I probably mailed more than 100 of these cookies in the mail. Not one of them broke with the royal icing on here. Not one of them. And they were vivid red. I mean, I took pictures of them. I had pictures in the class with everybody, and I couldn't explain why I was getting pink instead of red. So if you're looking for a red or green, you want to definitely use the egg whites. Okay, that's just what I'm looking for. So then I'm just going to put this in here. All right, I have this little device here that has 6 holes in it, and what that's going to do is that's going to hold my royal icing while I decorate my cookies. And this towel that's underneath here is a wet towel, so it's going to keep the end of it moist, so it's not going to dry up. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and push that down. And then we're just going to fold in, and then I'm going to use this bag clip from IKEA to close it. There we go. And now we're ready to decorate with our red. All right, and then I'm going to need a little blue, so I'm going to do the same with the blue. Now, one thing to remember when you're adding icing color to what you have, you can always add more, but you can't take away. So I want a very, very pale blue because I'm going to use this color, this icing, for my snowflakes. I just touched the very tip. Ooh, that might be too much. Look at how much that colored. So we'll see. We want to be able to see that it's a blue because we're going to put this on a white icing. So we want to be able to see that it just has a little blue tint to it. I think that's just what I'm looking for. All right. Now I'm just going to pour it in here. Uh-oh. Pick it up. You know, a drinking glass will work. I just happen to have a mason jar right there, so that's what I use. All right. I have a 1 and a 2 tip on these, depending on, you know, what you're looking for. There. And we're just gonna put that right there. Now I'm gonna finish making the rest of my colors, and I'll be right back.